Arizona football adds offensive line help, adds a running back, and we get some Arizona basketball post-game talk as well.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for giving it a Locked On Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. This show is brought to you today by FanDuel. Here's the deal. You know it. Put down $5 and get 150 in free plays if that bet hits and you are a new customer. Check it out. FanDuel. All right. Arizona football, a very, very busy last couple days, a whirlwind, as some of the kids might say. And again, big thing about it, Seth Dagey, offensive coordinator for the University of Arizona, has said that he wanted to, basically, he needs to revamp the entire offensive line. We're going to talk about that a ton going forward because, again, there's, I think, a lot of interesting aspects to this. But let's talk a little bit about some of the players, though, that they got in for the offensive line. And the first one I think you need to talk about is Tristan Bounds. Now, Tristan Bounds out of Michigan. This is the epitome of what I am talking about. I am more than okay with getting guys from Michigan that didn't play at Michigan because just like with Big Bill Norton, just because they don't play at Georgia doesn't mean that they're not good here. I am more than okay with that. Bounds, I think, is a good, again, coming in to tackle a couple years, 6'8", 310. You saw last year Arizona's tackle play was not good. This gives you, I think, another body to be able to throw in there. So that is something that I think is very, very good, obviously. Then you also have, you got some other guys as well. Kiana DeCambria, again, interior offensive lineman, 6'3", 300 pounds from Hawaii. You're going to have to add, you're going to have to basically just stock up with a lot of these kids and hope that some of them can end up playing. I'm not exactly sure, what the deal is, but hopefully he can play. And if he can play, then I think that Arizona could be in some very good shape. Again, you got another one in Jordan Brown, offensive tackle. Listen, from Georgia Tech, it is what it is. If he, guys like this, you can 1,000% just hope that they are going to be they're going to be good football players, or that they can at least be good enough. And again, the thing about it too, you got to keep in mind is that with Arizona, you got a few guys coming back that I think have some potential. I like Big Rhino. I think Big Rhino can play. But he was hurt He was hurt most this season. I also think that Alexander Deuce can play as well, the Deuce Boost. But he another guy that was kind of hurt, a little banged up. But either way, those are the kind of guys that you're looking at. Those are the kind of guys that you I think that could maybe play. I don't ever see Michael Wooten being good here. I know the coaching staff thinks Michael Wooten can play. I don't see it. So we will see that. Also, the other one too that I think they're big on that I could actually see being good down the road is Matthew Lotto. Matthew Lotto was not ready this season, but that doesn't mean that Matthew Lotto can't be good down the can't be a good football player down the road. I think that there is certainly that possibility for Matthew Lotto, but again, the offensive line, and I think you're going to see more players added as well. This is what you have to do, though, if you're the U of A. You've got to continue to just add offensive linemen because, again, the offensive line, the good players here are no longer here. Josh Baker is gone. Wendell Moy is gone. Jonas Savanea is gone. So there's that. You got to be able to get some better players in there. And Deji knows that. If you're going to put together a competent offense, you can't have what you saw last year. I'm going to be interested to see what happens with Josh Oglesby. And I think he did a very poor job this past year on the offensive line. But again, maybe there's something else that you could see. Then you got a Ty Buchanan coming in here from Texas Tech, 6'6", 285. I think he's got some I think he's got some potential to him as well. We'll see how that one does play out. Now, we're going to let's who else you got here? Now let's also talk about the running back here. You get Ishmael Mahdi. This is a nice little pickup here. Again, from Texas State, guys rushed for about 2,400 yards the last 2 years. Going to be kind of maybe a thunder and lightning approach with Kedrick Risano and Ishmael Mahdi. I like getting Mahdi. I think that Mahdi can play. I think that there's a lot to like about him and what he can do. Again, 5'9", 180. He's been very productive, though, in an explosive offense. So there's obviously that part that you can like as well. I also think, like I said, I think that he fits in very well with what Arizona wants to do, and I think with what Deji wants to do with that two-back approach. So we'll obviously see how that one does play out. Now, on the defensive line, then, you got some other guys, too, that you need to, I think, keep an eye on. We're going to see what they can do. I'm not exactly sure what they can or can't do, but we're going to see that. But before we get into the defensive line and into some Arizona basketball, it is time for something very, very important. Rocket Money, my friends. Check it out. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Here's the deal. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your money. It brings everything together in one place. Again, how many times have you looked at something, you're like, what the heck am I spending this for? You're looking at your bank statement. Rocket Money is here to help you. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions today. Go to rocketmoney.com and again, /lockedon. You will thank me later. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. Okay, now let's talk a little bit more about some Arizona players that they've added. We're going to talk more about these guys tomorrow, but there are obviously some players that you do need to know about. Okay, and I think the other one, a couple other ones too. Obviously, we talked about it before. Chancellor Owens is a great name. Chancellor Owens, you need Chancellor Owens to be a difference maker. He's coming in here from Northwestern State, not Northwestern State. We'll see what he does, but again, I think that you've got some potential with him. Cool name. And he was fairly productive. But again, you're also coming in from Northwestern State, so we'll see how that one does play out. No promises with him. Obviously, I think Chris Hudson is going to be good from Washington State. The wide receiver, Deshaun McKnight, also defensive lineman coming in here, 6'3", 285. We'll see what he can do. You just, like I said, you got to get difference makers on the D-line. We will see how this does play out. But so far, so good. And tomorrow we are going to talk about the offensive line. We are going to talk about basically what should the goals for that squad be, because I don't necessarily know, and I don't know that a lot of people necessarily know what the overall goals for that team should be. We're going to find it out, though. Okay, now, let's get to a little bit of Arizona basketball. Again, I get it. Central Michigan stinks. You do not need to tell me that. I don't think anybody is surprised that Central Michigan stinks. We all know that. But this was the second straight game where you saw that Caleb Love look. And again, with Caleb Love, the big part of his game is you need him to look like he is to look like he's engaged, to look like Caleb Love is being Caleb Love. And he showed that. He was, like I said, don't be the facilitator. Don't do any of that stuff. Don't take away his powers. You need him to be able to get to the basket. There was a couple times he had some pump fakes. A couple times where, he made a mid-range jumper, which is something that, we very rarely have seen from Caleb here. He also was getting to the free throw line again. That is what I need to see. I need that to continue to happen. Need him to continue to get to the free throw line. If he can do that, then I think Arizona is going to be in much, much better shape. But again, the whole thing about, what are you doing, changing the philosophy, that can't be what Arizona's looking to do with Caleb Love. With Caleb Love, you have got to get him out there what he is doing best, and that is attacking the basket. That is making plays for himself. Because if Arizona, there's other guys we're going to talk about in a second. There's other guys that just haven't made that jump, and I don't think they're going to make that jump. Caleb Love is one player that can play a lot better than he has played so far, and Arizona needs him to be able to show that. If he can show that, then I think Arizona is going to be in a lot better shape, but you've got to be able to see it. You've got to be able to see a player that can be an All-American and can score the basketball. That is a big part of it. Arizona needs guys that can score. KJ Lewis. with KJ Lewis, I talked about it before. I think you need to turn him into a Reggie Geary type, where again he's not going to be that kind of handler or ball handler, but finishing, playing defense, just doing things that come easy. If you put him into that kind of Mitch Richmond cookie cutter shooting guard approach, that's just not going to work. That's not who he is. That's not what he does. And that's never going to be who he is or what he does. You need to be able to just kind of make him be the hustle, the energy player. And if that happens, then Arizona's going to be in much better shape. But Caleb Love, though, is the one. You need Caleb Love to play like an All-American. If Caleb Love plays like an All-American, then Arizona's going to be a lot better. Now, again, there's some real deficiencies on this team that we are going to talk about here. But there was also a little bit of a bright spot that I think we need to discuss. But first, FanDuel, here's the deal. Put down $5. You can get $150 in free plays with FanDuel. That's simple, that easy. The great thing with FanDuel, too, is that you know that, you got all kinds of different stuff going on right now. You got the NBA. You got the NFL. You got college basketball. You got college football playoffs. This is the time to get in on FanDuel. Again, with FanDuel, pretty cool stuff. Put down $5, get $150 in free plays if that bet hits. And again, new customers only, but great time to get in on some of this stuff. Check it out again at FanDuel. Another one of these ones that you are going to thank me later. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about Emmanuel Stevens. I like what I saw from E-Man. He's got an infectious energy. He plays hard, and I think that Arizona needs to play him more. There's been too many stiffs this year up front for Arizona that just really aren't that good. Creep is kind of a stiff. Henry is better, but at the same time, Henry's got some limitations, as does Emmanuel. But at the same time, I think with Emmanuel, you also can see some upside. I like what I saw from him. I think Arizona needs to play him more. I would like to see more from him, not less. Okay, now, the other one, too, that I think that we need to talk about, I think it's fair to say at this stage in the game, Trey Townsend's not very good. Listen, I was wrong on Trey Townsend. He put up good numbers against good teams last year, but I think with him though, it's going to be fascinating to see exactly what he does. I still think that we are at the stage though with Townsend where he just kind of okay. Is what it is. But he also can be a real liability. That's the other thing, is that I can't have you be a liability out there because you've been a liability. Terrible turnovers. Doesn't rebound for whatever reason, doesn't really box out, but somehow seems to get 35 minutes per game. I don't get it. Now with another guy, a Carter Bryant, want to continue to see Carter play more. Carter just looks a little different than the other players out there. That's why Arizona, in my opinion, needs to play Carter Bryant. Stop messing around with those minutes. For a variety of reasons, Carter Bryant needs to play. This is not difficult. This is not difficult at all. This shouldn't be difficult because, again, I don't think I'm really breaking any news that, Carter Bryant is a very popular player on the AAU circuit, and players are watching. Players are watching how exactly this unfolds, and they want to see what kind of player Arizona is going to be able to put in. But overall, the out of conference is done. In conference is here, and it's going to be fascinating to see how Arizona does play in the Big 12. I will say that I do like at least what I saw from Arizona. I do like what I saw at least in that, Caleb Love was kind of, he was playing better basketball. He was playing more aggressive. That's what Arizona needs from him. If you get that, then I think that Arizona can be in better shape. Listen, there's still some real problems up front. Obviously, the team can't shoot. ADO, though, nice little option as well. So we'll see how that one does play out. Now, tomorrow, we're going to talk about the offensive line in depth. What exactly is going on there? Last year, you had 3 really, really good players, and somehow the offensive line was an absolute travesty. The offensive line has to be better this year. Is Josh Oglesby that guy? Well, how does this work in with Seth Dagey? How does he want to do all of that? There's going to be a lot of questions that I think we need to answer, and I think it's going to be fun to watch how all of this does play out. But Arizona, like I said, gets a flurry of commitments. Also, Arizona football, Arizona basketball looks better. So we will see how this all does play out. But on that note, though, as always, thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke.